Okay, this is page 3 for chapter 3 of World Geography. We're going to talk about world climate zones today. So world climate patterns. The 5 climate regions, these are the major ones, and then they can be subdivided into smaller climate regions. Tropical, dry, mid-latitude, high latitude, and highland. And then there's some other subclimates that are listed here that are shown on the map. Okay, some natural vegetation. This is plant life that grows in an area if the natural environment has not been changed by people. So things that occur naturally. And I always use this example. I don't know where I heard this, but we have a lot of sagebrush throughout Utah, here in Millard County and by Fillmore where we live. But I had heard that sagebrush actually came from Russia. So if that's true, that wouldn't be considered natural vegetation. Okay, tropical climates. So we have a tropical rainforest and tropical savanna. In a dry climate, desert and steppe. And then an oasis, kind of like this picture shows here, would be an area of lush vegetation where water can come to the surface. It allows a few plants and trees to grow, but it's only in that one area, so we call that an oasis. Of course, the tropical climate would be this picture up here. This one would be more desert or steppe climate. And as we look at this, this obviously is Africa, and in Africa it's called a savanna with this grassland area. Russia would actually have the steppe type climate with those grasses. In the United States we call it prairie, in the Great Plains, and then in South America it would be called the pampas. Okay, semi-arid then, hot summers, mild, cold winters, some snow and not much precipitation. And again, there's, depending on where you're at, it might change a little bit. So we're considered semi-arid, but we do get a little bit colder in the wintertime with a little more moisture. Okay, mid-latitude climates. There's a marine west coast. So marine, of course, having to do with water, and west coast, like in California. Mediterranean. Those countries that border on the Mediterranean Sea, southern Europe and northern Africa, and the eastern side of the Mediterranean would have the very extreme southwest Asian countries, Israel, Jordan, Syria, that type. Humid subtropical, that's going to be this one here, and then humid continental, so you're in the interior of the continent. And it's going to be very humid. I think on the next slide it will define humid subtropical. There we go. So this is long periods of summer heat and humidity. Winters are mild and cool. So that's a humid subtropical. Okay, in the high latitude climates, there's subarctic, tundra, probably should have included polar within that one, and the ice cap. And then the word permafrost is frozen subsoil, and in many places it's permanently frozen subsoil. I thought this was an interesting picture, this vast area of ice, and then you've got this running water right there. Pretty cool. Okay, Taiga is the Russian word for forest, and these are not these huge pine trees, but they're kind of tall and skinny, but the area where they would be found is northern Asia, a little bit into northern Europe, northern part of Canada. And an interesting statistic with this, that of all the trees that there are in the world, 1 out of every 5 is found in the taiga. So that's 20% of our world's trees in the taiga. The timberline elevation, above which it is too cold for trees to grow. The number I've always remembered is about 10,000 feet, although that could vary depending on where you're at. You can see on this picture here, the trees start to get a little sparse here, but they're still fairly thick over here. But then, you know, within 1,000, 2,000 feet, you go from having lots of trees to no trees. So that's the timberline. And the ones that do get close to that northern edge, or the top edge, sorry. The trees might be stunted in their growth. They might only have branches on one side. The bushes and things could be a little more stunted, a little more scrubby looking. Okay, here's that windward and leeward side we talked about in page 1. So the windward side of the mountain is that faces toward the direction from which the wind is blowing. So that would be over here. You can see the green vegetation. And the leeward side on which the air descends the mountain. So that would be the other side, and that's where we would find that rain shadow that we talked about in page 1. Okay? And that concludes page 4. Or is that right? Oh, I guess I didn't have my page 3 ending, so that ends page 3. Thank you.